Back tonight, live here on In Focus, Newzroom Afrika, Channel 405. Thanks for staying on. The Presidential Employment Stimulus Program has reached the milestone of 1 million participants since its inception. In his weekly newsletter, President Cyril Ramaphosa has said it was a pivotal intervention to support livelihoods while the economy recovers. The program is a collaboration of, among others, government, private sector, and community-based organizations. Joining us for his reaction is Siyabulela, who speaks for the Assembly of the Unemployed. Siyabulela, good evening, and thank you very much for your time tonight. Has there been, in your assessment, in the last 2 years since the launch of the program, any significant collaboration between government, private sector, civil society in ensuring that meaningful jobs are actually created?
Thank you so much, Tabo. Good evening, and thank you for having us here. So one, what is important to note is that, and especially in this quarter, in the last statistics, that we've seen at least a decline in terms of especially youth unemployment. I think now we're sitting at about 45.6% of youth being unemployed. But that is still high. But although that is still high, we note the quality of jobs that have been provided there. It's highly casualized, and it's highly precarious jobs. And you know, Tabo, when you talk about a stimulus package, and it's specifically around increasing government spending and ensure that there's also spending, there's also buying power within the economy to boost the economy up. So, and you need to do away with austerity. To do that, you need to completely divorce and disabuse yourself as government to austerity. So you need to increase government spending in terms of the public sector, and you need to increase government spending in terms of providing a secured and above poverty line basic income grant that is permanent. And for that, by the way, you need to disabuse yourself from foreign debt, from borrowing, because there is money in South Africa to fund this. And and while you're doing that, you then move yourself in a process where we talk about re-industrialization, because as we've seen in South Africa, and we have been saying this as the Assembly of the Unemployed for a long time now, that our economy is actually financialized. And we've seen in the unraveling of the mineral energy complex a huge form of deindustrialization. Yeah. And this has become a problem. So what we need to go back to is to begin a conversation of reindustrialization. Right.
So you're saying, I mean, the president saying the program was necessary in complementing the recovery of the jobs market. For example, he says the largest support coming from this program is nearly 600,000 young people who had been placed as school assistants in more than 22,000 schools. What has happened to that 600,000 after being placed? I mean, did it in any way assist them in creating livelihoods and in them being able then to come from there and find other job prospects?
So what I can say, Tabo, many of the education assistants now are currently sitting at home. There's the next round, so they need to apply in December. So there's the next round coming up next year. And so the cohort that was in this year, although they are encouraged to apply, but a new group will be encouraged to apply. And this is the precarity that we're talking about. So when you talk about creating jobs, what kind of jobs are you talking about? And we need to talk about sustainable jobs. And it's clear that this economy is not able to provide that. And while this economy is not able to provide that, we need to consider disabusing ourselves from austerity and budget cuts and introduce a permanent basic income grant of 1,500 as we have been calling as the Assembly of the Unemployed.
But how is that going to address then the question of a lack of work experience? Because, private sector businesses are saying that part of the reason why is that young people have never been in an office, they've never been in a factory, they've never been anywhere. So what the president is saying, this stimulus program, what it does is it addresses that lack of work experience. You might not be doing the work that you've studied, but you are getting an experience of being employed, of knowing that you've got to wake up, you've got to go to work, and these are the soft skills that you require. You've got to, learn how to use the photocopying machine, type in the computer, or something of that nature. Is this helpful?
And we also need to disabuse into thinking, and I think I've been on this show when the president was saying, we'll scrap the need for experience when people are applying for a job. But that's not the problem, Thabo. Remember, there have been workers who have been doing work for 15 years, for more than 15 years, for more than 10 years, and that is experience. And they do actually have a skill in that, but they're still facing retrenchments. And they form part of the over 200 million workers that were retrenched during COVID. So is the issue of experience a problem in terms of finding work? The issue of experience is not a problem. The problem is the structure of the economy. And in which, so our economy is not able to provide sustainable jobs. And that's why I'm bringing us to the debate around reindustrialization and low carbonized reindustrialization, and why we're taking into consideration and supporting the efforts that communities and cooperatives on the ground are making.
So even the idea of expanding, for example, production within the agricultural space, which was also largely disrupted during COVID-19, are you saying that would not assist?
So another, and this brings us to another debate. We have the agricultural sector in South Africa, which is highly extractive. And it's the same with the mining sector. So these are sectors that are extractive and they're not providing jobs. But what we are saying, and we need to look at food sovereignty alternatives and agroecological alternatives that cooperatives on the ground, small-scale farmers on the ground are exploring. And that's what we need to support. Because as much as we have, and by the way, as much as we have this huge agricultural sector, which is highly extractive, we also face another problem of food insecurity. Even the farmers themselves, by the way, that are producing the food, cannot even afford the food because of now this issue that we're talking about of low payment and wage inequality in South Africa. So and if you also look at even the issue of what's happening into the unemployment statistic, you see that also the informal sector is the one that's doing good in terms of improving in terms of the of jobs. So this also tells you something.
Yeah, that's what the president is saying. He's saying that, therefore, this stimulus program has been an economic boost, particularly for small enterprises, but as you put it, for the informal business sector within local economies across the country. So what you're saying is that a focus on that sector is not going to give us the kind of jobs that we would want to see that would absorb a lot of the young people that are are currently unemployed?
This is what I'm saying. And what I'm saying is we need to disabuse ourselves from the notion of one experience, because it's proving not to be true, as people are being retrenched. But at the same time, and what I'm referring to here is worker cooperatives on the ground and communities organizing themselves on the ground through agricultural and people who are farming together. And these have has improved, and people finding local markets for themselves on the ground. And those are efforts that need to be also supported against the subsidization with, by the way, not only through taxation, corporate taxation, but through our water systems. So we need to do away with that support. We need to actually tax corporations and feed back into building community initiatives on the ground, but as well focus on a reindustrialization program that will create sustainable jobs before this financialized market system we've been seeing in South Africa.
Siyabulela Mama, much appreciated, and thank you for your intervention tonight. Siyabulela Mama speaks for the Assembly of the Unemployed.